Good evening, everybody. Ninjani. Happy Sunday. Do you know unokufa? Unokufa uvakashela yonke imindeni. Whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you stay in a mansion, whether you stay under the bridge, wherever you stay, when unokufa comes, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. What am I saying? I'm talking about death. Death can visit you anywhere. Death does not discriminate. Death can visit in your house, whether you stay in a mansion, whether you stay under a rock, whether you stay in the bushes, whether you stay in the sea. Death can visit you. Death does not discriminate. It goes where it wants to go, as it wants to go. Why am I making this video? Stop being mean. Stop being horrible. Stop being unkind to people who death has visited their homes. Stop being unkind to abantu abavakashele unokufa. Do you actually think it is pleasant for you to sit in the front row seat of a death or a funeral of a loved one? It is not pleasant to have the front row view of witnessing and watching your loved one being buried, of having the front row view of watching the love of your life being buried. Before you start talking with your mouth things you don't know, remember, today it's me. Death has visited my home. Yes, it's been 2 months since I lost my baby girl. Tomorrow it may be you. Tomorrow it will be your neighbor. Tomorrow it's somebody else. But unokufa comes as and when unokufa needs to come. The trick here is the grieving. There is absolutely zero manual on how people grieve, right? And why I say this, yes, there are people who've written books about grieving, how to grieve, etc., etc., etc. But I think it hits differently to who you are grieving about. It slaps differently. I'll give an example. There could be a great-grandfather who's passed away. I don't think I would grieve for him the same way I'm grieving for my daughter. There could be a great-great-aunt who's passed away. I don't think I'd grieve for them the same way I'm grieving for my child. So, I'm doing this video just to say, be kind, guys. Be kind. Everybody out there is fighting a battle you know absolutely nothing about. One thing grieving has taught me in the past 2 months, and one thing I've been saying to my son, is that we are learning to accept that some people loved us or were close to us because they had daughters who were the same age as my daughter, and they were close to us because, if I could just say this, they probably wanted my daughter's life. What do I mean? They'd always be here. My daughter's baking, they're baking. Next thing, they're also baking at their homes. My daughter's doing makeup. Next thing, they're doing makeups. Now that my daughter has passed on, all of a sudden, such people don't visit, don't call, but now their daughters are emulating exactly what Tepang used to do. And I said to my son, it's good that their daughters are emulating what Tepang used to do. That means Tepang left a mark. But the sad part is, we are learning that when death visits you, you lose friends. Some friendships are created from a situation of death. Some friendships will be glued together because uSihle ushonelwe, or because wena ushonelwe. Why? I'll give an example. Some friendships, because maybe I got mad and I started shouting, Or maybe you got mad and you started shouting because you don't know how to grieve. And then some people decide to say, let's form a hashtag gossip about the Chief Mona group. And that's how their friendships start. They become bosom friends at the expense of your pain. And such friendships don't last. They are temporal. Because as they see you taking baby steps out of your grief, they start losing things to talk about. They start losing things to gossip about. One thing, when Unogufa visits you, it shows you who your family is. And sometimes family is not blood. Sometimes family are those that you least expected to be there for you. And sometimes those who are blood, when death has visited your home, sometimes those you need to let go and say, their season in my life is over. Their season in my life has come to pass. Like, iphelile, it is finished. Acceptance at times is hard, but sometimes when you are grieving, you need to be selfish about yourself and your emotions and accept that, it was seasonal, you know? And trust me, as you grieve, I've seen it myself. God creates the circle. You know, like when you've bought a new car, let's say you bought a BMW, all of a sudden you start seeing BMWs everywhere. I'm going through a phase where all of a sudden I'm coming across mothers who've lost children, who are grieving, who are telling me stories, and I'm drawing strength from them. This past weekend, my son and I were invited to a Grieving Gracefully retreat. It opened up my eyes to so many things. And we cried, we laughed, but when we left, our conversation somehow shifted from the guilt that me and him were feeling, because I was feeling guilty about, oh God, I should have agreed for my daughter to sleep with me that night. And he was feeling guilty about, when she started screaming, Mommy, I should have immediately not given her water, because apparently when she screamed, she asked for water and he gave her water. So we were going through guilt in different ways. I'm thankful for that retreat. I'm thankful for the learning from that retreat. You know, we had professionals there who said acceptance is the best medicine of them all. You need to accept that sometimes the ones that you thought would be there are the very ones that will not be there. And that's because when Unogufa visits your home, there's a shift. Things happen. Some people, maybe they don't know how to be there for you. Abanye bayasaba genuinely. But one thing I learned is you need to be selfish about what you focus on. Be selfish about what you feed. Right now, I was saying to my son, we are selfish enough to focus on the fact that we have lost a sister and a daughter. We are selfish enough to focus on learning to heal baby steps. We are focused enough and selfish enough to say, if what Julia is doing or what Samantha is doing is going to disrupt my peace, we are focused enough to say we would rather be home alone, just the two of us. We are focused enough to say, if I miss my daughter and I want to go to her grave, it's okay. So I'm doing this video that don't sit there and think or your life, like don't throw stones in a glass house. Today is me, tomorrow it's you. Don't sit there and think like that elder who said to me, she's happy with her husband and her child. Look, I'm not wishing them death. I'm not wishing anyone death, but nobody knows when Nogufa comes. Nobody knows when death will strike. That's the most unfortunate thing. That's the most unfortunate thing. So be kind to everybody. Not only those who are grieving, but be kind to everybody, because people are facing and going through battles you know absolutely nothing about. If you've got nothing to say, keep quiet. Just keep quiet, Mdaradedi. That is all. You know? That's the message I just wanted to give you this night. Uguti, unogufa can come anytime. Death can come anytime. Be kind. Be kind in everything you do and say. Today it's me, tomorrow may be you, and you will be sitting down wishing people must be around you, but no one will be there because you decided to know people's lives better than themselves while they were grieving. You know, one thing I learned at the retreat was it's a pain that you learn to live with. It's a pain that will always have triggers. Because, for example, this morning, my daughter's friend, who they used to do public speaking with, her mother sent me a picture saying, oh, my daughter got a prestige award. You know, thank you so much for Tepang's influence. Such things are triggers. But I was happy that she shared with me when her age mates are going to grade 7, because she's supposed to be in grade 5, or when her age mates are going to matric, it's going to be a trigger to me. But it's a pain that you're going to learn to live with. And there's nothing wrong with always acknowledging them, acknowledging that TK is my daughter. Mina, I have 2 kids. The only difference is that one is an angel right now. She's our angel. And the other difference is that I've got a son who's going through adolescence. He's lost a sister. And Nami, I need to learn how to navigate all of that. So be kind in all you do and say. Bantwana bakadidi, be kind, because unogufa can come anytime. Tomorrow is not guaranteed.